A pleasant afternoon, everyone. My name is Christine Lisbus, and I will be your resource speaker for this afternoon. Today, I'll be discussing about the subtopic of strategic school management. But before that, I will introduce to you what is strategic school management. So, strategic school management is an ongoing planning, monitoring, analysis, and assessment of all the necessities an organization needs to meet its goal and objectives. So, changes in business environment will require organization to constantly assess their strategies for success. So, for example, in our ancient times, so in a war, they will make a strategy on how to defeat their opponent. So in way back in our ancient, so there's always meron na pong strategy ang pamamahala o yung or on how to make a strategy to defeat their opponent. So when it comes to education, in our recent situation, so when the pandemic strikes, there is so there's no face-to-face classes. So our educator come up with a strategy on how to continue the education. So they come up with us. They come up with a strategy to continue education by using modular or online classes. So so that the education will not be stagnant and all the student can continue their education even though there is no face-to-face at that moment. So uh, based on that, they come up with a strategy that even though there is a pandemic crisis that is happening in our country, they are still making way so that the education will always be there and can continue to educate the children to help them learn more or to help them learn more and to help them continue their education. But based of that strategy, we know that there is always an advantage and disadvantage of of that situation. And and one of the advantage is that they can continue their education, but the disadvantage of this what happened in a pandemic. So now there are a lot of children who are struggling learners. So now the educator also come up with a solution or a strategy so that the children will be able to read. So they conduct some more reading in schools, more reading. And based on my experience here in my school, the master teacher is monitoring every grade level so that or uh, she makes some monitoring each room by reading each by making each children to read by her side. My topic for today is all about from good to great, the art of strategic school management. So from good to great, in that word, my example for this is from good. So you are good in writing. Example, writing. You are very good. You are good in writing. But when it comes to great, uh, you are improving or you are more detailed on how to write, on what art are you going to do, on how to write a certain letter with a different style. So you from good you are doing great. So from you are good in writing and now you are good in writing how to to write it in a different kind of style you want at, at your preferred style. The importance of education, it develops the national framework on planning, research, and policy development of the Department of Education. And it is also responsible for providing the department with economical, efficient, and effective services relating to strategic and operational planning, program development, policy reformulation, and research coordination and sector monitoring and evaluation. The Greek verb strategos means army leader, and the idea of stratejo or stratejo, which we get from strategy, refers to the idea of destroying one's enemy through the effective use of resources. So you like what I have said in the introduction, you have to come up even our ancient times you have to come up some strategies to defeat your opponent, or you need to make some strategy and use different sources to defeat the other army or your opponent, to so that they will be defeated and your troops will win, or you will mananakop of that certain area. The key components of a school strategic management plan are the mission, vision, goals, objectives, and action plan. So, mission means what our purpose is, and vision is what we aspire for, and the goals are uh, what are our strategic focus area, what are kind of areas that we should focus to have more strategy on that certain area. And the next one is the objectives are continuous improvement activities to maintain the efficient in education, or to maintain the efficiency in education. And lastly is all about the action plan, which is it's a project that helps you reach your target. So you have a project, so that you have certain project to reach your target on how the learners, you will have a strategy on how the learners will continue their education, even though some of them are very far from their home. So you need to you need to come up with a strategy that to motivate the learners to continue their studies. SWOT analysis is one of the type of strategic management frameworks used by organizations to build and test their business strategies. So, SWOT clarifies the internal, external, and other factors that can have an impact in an organization's goals and objectives. SWOT means strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and strengths, and threats. And I will be discussing on the next slide. SWOT means strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So, strength. Strength is that what does your organization do better than your competition? So what is the strength you have? Then the next is the weaknesses. Means that what does your organization needs to improve upon? So ano po yung kailangang i-improve ng Department of Education? So that is the weaknesses or weakness of an that is weak weaknesses. So next one is opportunities, which is what market trends could lead to increase. So example, sa oportunidad na naman po is what does what market trends would you lead to increase? So example in business. So, ano po yung kailangang i-market or yung trends to increase your sales? So, when it comes to business, but when it comes to education, uh, what will be your uh, what will you do so that many children will enroll? Ano po yung ini-encourage nyo kung bakit kailangan po nilang mag-aral, and at ano po yung advantage on if there will be graduated, what will be the advantage on their part. And then the last one is threats, is that what are the advantages competitors have over your organization. So yung mga threat like sa students, so yung mga threat nila is yung how will they go to school even though they're so far from the school is very far from their home. How will encourage them? The other type of strategic management framework is what we call PESTEL analysis. PESTEL analysis stands for political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal. So with these factors, it really affects the strategic management, because when there is a new administration that is being elected, he or she will come up to a new strategy on how to improve his or her administration. And with also the economic, when there is a demand on, or that demand is being needed, so uh, the the officials will come up to what strategy would be needed to meet up or to meet the demand of the economic field. Porter's five forces is a model that identifies and analyzes five competitive forces that shape every industry and help determine the industry's weaknesses and strengths. Five forces analysis is frequently used to identify an industry's structure to determine corporate strategy. So the Porter's five forces are competition in the industry, potential of new entrants into the industry, power of supply, power of customer, and threat of product of substitute product. So with these five Porter's forces, it really affects the strategic management, because when there is a how would you compete to that industry, and what strategy would you come up to compete on your competitors. And next is to the new entrants in the industry, so how would you cope up, or how would you level up to that product of that new entrant, so that your product will not be parang hindi siya behind sa trends. And the power of supply, the power of customers, and threats to substitutes of products, like halimbawa if yung product is wala kang ganon, so how would you substitute it, so to maintain the quality of your like your food, like in business, like in a restaurant. So halimbawa walang, if there is no sibuyas, since that sibuyas is very expensive nowadays, so how would you what product would you substitute to maintain the quality of your food. So with this Porter's five forces, it really affects the strategic management of it really affects the strategic management of every business, and you would really come up or a quick response on how would you deal with it. That would be all my report. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day, ma'am and sir.